Righto guys, here's all the completed components of my tyres cockpit for the ESM 109 73 inch BF 109. Still got the gun sight drying there. There's a bit of ply just holding that on. And that's how the instrument panel turned out. Added a few levers, or a couple of levers, and cut a couple of instruments out that I didn't think needed to be there. And as Ty suggests, I put that little 1/4 inch of ply in front of the gun sight there so it fits into the aeroplane alright. That's that bit. Pretty much stock headrest armour plate with a bit of wear on the leather head pad there. Control column, very basic, little tiny bit of dry brushing here and there. I've got to do the red button, just seen that, notice that. Seat cut out as per the kit, and I just put some canopiece around it just to give it a bit of bulk. Looks alright. And the main piece here, bits and pieces, those wires you can see there, they're actually meant to represent the little chain for opening and closing the cow flaps. I'll cut out the map case as Ty suggested and just use some bits and pieces. Oxygen bottle there, that's that side, just a bit of painting on the floor representing some gauges and lines. And then on this side here I scratch built that flap handle, and the trim wheels there are actually mounted that way. Probably should have been the other way, but I reckon they fitted better that way so you don't really see it. And there's my little scratch building effort there with the throttle quadrant and a few T-handles and an extra handle. So we'll go and see if it fits in the aeroplane. I've kind of made sure that it does as we go. And we'll finish it off, glue it in, go fly the thing. I think he's pretty happy. We'll see how it fits. So here's our Luftwaffe pilot sitting in his cockpit. Just the next step, just all mocked up and sitting in there to make sure it all fits in there. And it looks like it's going to fit. You can see the fuel tank down there, that opaque tank. That actually, I was pretty surprised that fitted with the cockpit where it was, and the tank is still on the centre of gravity. Might have to fly in his socks to get his boots under the instrument panel there. There's a bit of scratch building I did there. Throttle with the little pitch control button on it, and some T-handles there, another little handle there with the controls going through. The sight's still drying there, got canopy glue on the reflector gun sight there, getting held in with a bit of ply. So there you go, all fits, and we'll have a look in a minute when it's all glued in. Righto guys, this is how I left the model last night after I'd put it together. Luftwaffe pilot sitting in his cockpit there. Like I said, I haven't glued the seat in or the armour plate at the moment, that's why that's just leaning back a little bit. And the canopy's just sitting there, so it's just up a little bit, but that's pretty much what you can see through the canopy. if you can get past the lights. And I'll just pull everything apart and let you see what I've done and how things have ended up inside there. Righto, so just removing the canopy. That's just, like I said, just sitting there at the moment. I did what Ty suggested and put a toothpick just to help locate the armour plating. I actually think with the real 109 it was attached to the framing of the canopy, but we'll be gluing it down onto the back there. So there you go, he sits in there pretty well. I actually have got his boots off, so he's in his socks at the moment, and that you can see my fuel tank there at the front under the instrument panel, and the control column's just sitting there at the moment too, so pull that out. And that's his pretty much seated position there in the cockpit. And seat's just sitting there at the moment. That's where it'll be going. I've prepped that by just putting a tiny bit of balsa under there because it doesn't sit exactly how it's meant to. And you can see the back of the cockpit there. That's just that styrene sheet that I painted earlier. So I'm thinking for this model, that's enough detail. Added a few bits and pieces as I've mentioned before, and the main thing I'm really happy about is that my fuel tank is still pretty much on the centre of gravity, and it can be removed and put into place with the cockpit being permanently affixed. There you go. And believe it or not, you can actually see the reflection in the gun sight there of the silver disc that's on the top of the gun sight. So yeah, that spun me out. Okay, still just got to add the chain that comes down off that round part there with the handle on it. That's actually like a crank handle, and the chain goes down those two little holes there you can see, and that's for the cow flaps. And I've got to extend his oxygen hose off his mask a little bit so it goes into the top of the oxygen cylinder there. Alright, yeah, so that's pretty much all glued in. Well, it is all glued in. That's permanent now. And the back little panel there, when that was glued on, that actually I made sure the cockpit was sitting pretty much right in the centre from the underneath, and that really stiffened up the whole lot from wanting to move sideways and that, so that worked pretty well. Alright, turn the model over and have a look. Righto, so this is obviously the underneath of it all. There's the floor you can see, and there's my tank there, and the mark you can see, the arrow on the side of the wing fairing there underneath, that's actually 100 millimeters back from the leading edge, so that's the CG, so you can see how far the tank is just a little bit forward of the CG there, because in that other thread I've shown that I have got everything mounted up the front there. All my servos, there's my rudder servo, elevator and throttle servo all up the front, and the only things I've got anywhere near the CG is actually the retract mechanism and that, and you can see I've had to just cut a little bit of the corner out of the cockpit floor there, but I can still actually remove that whole mechanism and that if I have to. And there's my on-off switch on the other side, so clearance there. And I'll just remove the tank so that it still actually can be removed there. And there's the bit of framework that I made up for it to get tank height, hopefully proper tank height for my Saito 154 stroke, and to get it back to that CG as well. Next off also is I'm doing the tail of the thing now, so I can sort out the push rods just for the elevator, and before I glue this like a cockpit brace in that Ty recommends, I don't know if I'll have it sitting up or laying down but I'll just have to sort out exactly how I want to do my push rods, and then I can incorporate some mounting of the push rods onto this piece of balsa there, and there'll be one at the front as well, just to give it that little bit of extra support. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I've shown you the inside of the thing enough times, so we'll call it that. So my cockpit's pretty much done. Just glue the rest in, do some mounting, and go fly the thing. Righto. Cheers, guys.